morning, guys. We're in the shop again today with the R32 Skyline, and we're gonna get this GTS-T wing removed today and install this new OEM GTR wing. I got this guy probably a year ago from Driver Motorsports. I'll put a link to their stuff here. As well as the N1 front bumper. The guys down there are a super awesome group of guys. They build some really nice cars, so go check them out. But I picked this up from them. Luckily, just happened to stumble across those guys and ask them if they had one, and they did. So I took the car out yesterday, washed it, and dried it and polished it and everything, and just took it out for a nice little run for the summer before I tear this back end apart and send it off for paint. So today we're gonna fit this wing. We're gonna remove this GTS-T wing and then fit the GTR wing on here, weld up the trunk holes and remove the trunk panel and the rear bumper and send all that off to paint. The rear bumper on this guy, right where it says Skyline, it's starting to peel off from the paint job that they did when they imported the car. It just didn't have any adhesion in those locations. So a friend of mine is going to go ahead and fix that for me and make sure everything paint matches. He paint matched the front bumper, did a great job. I couldn't ask for better. So I'm pretty confident he's gonna be able to do the back. So once we remove that, get it painted and then reinstall it, we're gonna reinstall the wing. And I also received all of the weather stripping. And believe it or not, guys, this weather stripping is going away. They're discontinuing parts left and right for this car. So I've gone ahead and just collected everything I needed that I could get, less these top moldings here, and we're going to get that installed as well. So when we go to the reassembly part of this video, I'm going to be doing all the weather stripping also. So let's get started getting this GTS-T wing off of here and then measuring and drilling holes in this trunk. That scares the crap out of me. I hope I do it right. Okay, so the first order of business is to get this guy off here. There's 3 mounting points on the GTS-T wing, and then on the GTR wing there's only 2 mounting points on either side. And there's also 4 gaskets that go underneath the connection points to the trunk. So I'm gonna get this up, figure out what I need to do to take this off, pop this off here, measure for center line of the trunk and then measure for center line of the mounting points, measure out from there front to back and get everything fitted. Walk you guys through this process just in case any of you decide to do it in the future. And let's get a before and after of what this guy's gonna look like. That GTR wing just looks so much better on the car than this wing. I'm gonna keep this wing just like I kept the front bumper, just in case anybody needs it in the future. It's not like they're remaking parts for this guy. So let's get this trunk open and see what we need to do to get this removed. All right, so we have 4 mounting points. Actually, I'm sorry, 3 mounting points on the trunk. They got openings here on the sides and in the middle for the nuts that hold through, and this one's available through the back. It looks like 10 millimeter. Yeah, 10 millimeter nuts. So get this little wrench, get this out of here. Okay, we got our 10 millimeter. We're going to start removing these nuts and the electrical connections for the rear brake light, and try not to drop this wing on the back glass. Only got 2 hands, you know. Okay, we got the 3 nuts off of these mounting bolts that come through the trunk. There's also a clip on the back side of this center mounting point. It's got 2 little tabs that pop out once you push it in. They're a little brittle, so I'm trying not to break them. I don't have a right angle plier. Put that on the shopping list. That would be nice to have. There we go. So here we go. Let's take this off here. There's our electrical connection for the light. And there's our trunk. Well, there's our wing. Let's go ahead and do a comparison of the GTS-T wing versus the GTR wing, and then we'll start taking some measurements. All right, so if you're watching this video, you are already familiar with the differences between the GTR and the GTS-T, and probably the wings as well, but I just wanted to go over this anyway. So you can see here the GTS-T wing has 3 mounting points, GTR wing has 2 mounting points, and the GTS-T is also a lower profile. I do like the way it looks on the car, but I like the GTR wing better. I paid for it, so we're gonna get it on the car. First things first is I'm gonna measure between these 2 mounting points and find the center line, and then also the center line front to back for the bolt holes, and then go on that trunk, measure the center line, make a mark, and then measure out from there the distance that is half the distance between the two, blah, 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 and you got it centered and straight and all that stuff. Let's move over to the trunk, get some measurements, make some measurements, put some Sharpie on the car, and get it fitted. So before well, where am I at in the video? Yeah, I'm sure, I'm fine. So before I get started measuring anything there, I'm gonna measure between these 2 points here, side to side, and then divide it by 2, get my center line, write it all down, and then we're gonna transfer that center line to the trunk, and then pull from center line out to the center of these points. It looks like these back 2 are a little bit closer than the front 2. So we're gonna have to just make sure we know which one is which. I'm gonna have a little bit of trouble getting it centered or figured out where I want it front to back. I'm gonna look up a couple of measurements off of other people's stuff on the old interweb before I do anything. But first off, I'm gonna go ahead and get this measured, which it looks like it's 44 inches center to center, and then this one is 44 and 1/8 of an inch center to center. So we got the back, which is 44 inches, and then 44 and 1/8. So that's 22 and 22 and 1/16. So we have that from the center line out. Now we're going to transfer this center line mark over to the middle of this trunk, and then what we'll do is pull a piece of tape straight up the middle here and mark everything off of that. That'll make everything a little bit easier for us. Here. All right, so I have my center line here. I'm gonna get some blue tape, mask off the edges of the trunk. That's gonna help with, getting my permanent marker marks on here. I think I know kind of where this thing's gonna go. Chuck and I just grabbed the wing. We set it on the trunk. Looks to be about somewhere in this vicinity. Yeah, it's gonna be something like that. So what I did is I set this up here and I measured from the front of this flange up to the edge of the trunk to see about where the wing is gonna sit, with these back lips here sitting right forward of this radius that's on the edge of the trunk. So I'm gonna put some tape here, put a couple of parallel lines from the trunk, measure everything out, set the wing, drill the holes, put it on there, make sure I like it, and then start welding up the other holes. That's gonna be the hard part. Some of these holes are kind of big. Might have to put a couple of metal patches in there. Good thing I know a body guy. Need some tape. Tape. Chuck. Very handy.
There's a fucking big ass roll of tape I've been looking for.
And she just found her tape. Thank you. Yeah, I'm just trying to pull a couple more. Okay, we got our center line here. We got our measurements over to the sides, like 22 and some inches here. And then we got kind of like our triangulated point for the front dot here. It all works out. It's the same on both sides, so we're good there. I'm gonna pull, make a dot for this guy, and then measure from the center of that back to the next one, and then just go ahead and drill the holes and mount the wing. All right, we got our layout done. She's just throwing stuff wherever. We got our layout done here. We marked our spots, marked forward to back, and then set it down, and then just kind of colored in around the bolt. And then I'm gonna take a punch and make a dot in the middle, and then we're gonna drill our holes. I'm gonna drill them a little bit larger than they need to be, and then that way I can move it a 16th or even a 32nd left to right. I'm gonna double check my center bolt out to the edges real quick before I get started. And then Chuck's grabbing me the drill and some drill bits. I'm gonna double check what's underneath it. So we're about 3 5/8, and then this one is about 3 3/4. Here, 3 3/4, and yeah, roughly 3 5/8. So it looks like we're the same on either side. And I know the front and back is the same. I just checked that with the wing on the car. So I'm gonna grab a punch real quick and put a dot here in the center of these holes. That way my drill bit doesn't walk. I can remember there's a dent back there. Should we pay attention to? That way it gets fixed with the paint. All right, so first dent in the car, intentional. 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 So I got my starting points for my drill. Go ahead and get the box of drill bits over here, pick out what I need, and we're gonna start drilling these holes. Nerve-wracking. The welding part's gonna be the worst. All right, drilled ready, drill my pilot holes, and then we'll drill our bigger holes. Let's just dive right into it, I guess. One, two. Okay, 4 holes drilled with the pilot hole. Let's go ahead and get the bigger drill bit, get these knocked out, and then we'll fit the wings. Chuck, I need some B-roll. right, guys, so the wing's mounted. Now I just need to go through here and weld up these holes. Got a pretty big hole here in the middle for where the wire came through for the light, and then another one for some plug that was in here for, I don't know what reason, maybe is a different wing, who knows, but I'm gonna have to get some metal cut out that fits these holes and then weld it around the sides, grind it smooth, and then we'll go ahead and start prepping this trunk for paint and then send it on out to bin. So right now, here's what the wing looks like. I think I like it. I like it much better than the other one. Now we're just gonna have to put sandpaper to that trunk. It's kind of scary. Let's take it off and start sanding everything. Okay, so the wing's off. I'm gonna get the trunk pulled off, get it off to the side on the welding table, cut some patches to fill these holes in, and then grind the paint off and weld those patches in. Some of these holes, I don't know if I'll be able to put a patch in it with a piece of metal, but definitely just start on the edge with a TIG weld and start building it up, bringing it in. Hammer it out from the shrinkage, and then just make sure it's flat, grind it flat. So we're gonna get all these plug clips taken off of here, get this wire for the rear, I guess that's the trunk switch or something, pulled out of here, and then just get it torn apart. Let's go. I need a wrench. Okay guys, this is where we're at. I have cut out some metal that fits into the holes that were left over by the old wing and the plug that was on the old wing. I cut the pieces out so they were a tight fit, and I've got my TIG welder set up. I'm gonna go ahead and start TIG welding all these joints in here and then grind the metal down smooth and also fill in these little holes. These little holes are gonna be a pain, but I do have a brass backing that I will put up behind it, and then that'll help absorb some of the heat and also not allow me to blow the weld through. So I'm gonna get these 1, 2, 3 small holes plugged up and these 2 filler pieces welded in grind it smooth, and then this guy should be ready to get sent off for paint. And other than that, I think we're pretty much finished until we get this stuff sent out. I'm gonna prep some of these pieces, the bumper and stuff, that way it's a little bit easier for my painter, a little less work for him, just if I get out in front of it and get it done. I might take this trunk all the way down to bare metal, that way he has a clean slate to start with. I just don't want it to flash rust, so I'm gonna go ahead and get a hold of him to make sure he's okay with that before I do it. So let's get these tabs welded in. I'm gonna get the TIG welder fired up, tack weld a couple sides, and then work my way around. Okay, so it's not the prettiest weld, but it's all welded in. TIG welded, you can control the heat a little bit better than using a MIG. It's also a little bit cleaner. So I'm gonna let this cool down, get to about room temperature, and then I'll go ahead and start getting this other plug for this circle welded in. I'm gonna go ahead and start trying to get one of these small old holes from where the bolt went through for the old wing. All right, so we got the holes filled in on the trunk. We got this, I don't know, sensor hole that they had here filled in and ground down and ready to send off to my painter. I got this portion of the trunk a little warped, but I'll let the painter take care of that. He should be able to do it. So we're gonna send all this off to paint, and then once it gets done and back, we'll reassemble the car, and then we'll go ahead and replace all the weather stripping on this as well. That's it for right now. Time to send this off to the painter.